Oh, I can see you, John. I got your face, man. You, John. I got your face.
Good, but now are you? Are you recording this?
Yes.
And John, like again, man, John, I appreciate you joining in on us on this deal, man.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here. You guys don't mind if I smoke, do you?
No, man. Oh, no. Actually, okay. What I really wanted to do to get started was like, you and Carl, y'all knew each other from way back. I know Carl was talking about he knew you from way back. So I wanted y'all to hit that reminisce button and, like y'all just did and just kind of.
We'll probably talk with the sailing. I was a terrible sailor. So it's okay if I smoke. Is it okay if I shoot up heroin? Okay. Apparently not.
Hey, John, you can do whatever you want to do.
Can somebody get me a glass of wine, please? Thank you, baby.
Yeah, but you know what? Tell Janice I said thank you very much. I really appreciate. Yeah, Janice, and man, I'll follow you on Twitter, John.
Most people think that all cryptocurrencies provide privacy and anonymity, but that's not the case. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of the ERC20 tokens and coins, which are thousands, all of them. If you send me a Bitcoin or I send you a Bitcoin, then forever after, I can look in your wallet, find out how much you have in your wallet, see how much is coming in and what's going out, and to whom and from whom. And I was giving the analogy, if your bank did the same thing with your plumber, if your plumber said, I'd like to see Mr. Roberts' bank account, please. What's his balance? Oh, that's interesting. Can you give me all the checks he's written in the past 6 months? Oh, yeah, and let me see everything that's come into his account and from whom, because that's the state we are. But not with all coins. Privacy coins like Monero and others are moving up fast. And so here's the problem with the Bitcoin maximalists, the one that goes, it has to be Bitcoin. Please, God, if Bitcoin was trying to compete with your bank, it would die if it was the only currency that you had. Now, maybe sometimes you don't care. You may not be, let's say you go to a house of prostitution and you use your Bitcoins and your wife looks into it, but that's okay with her. That's fine. But maybe you don't want the government looking into it. Right. So if you do want privacy and security, we have privacy coins that will hide the sender and receiver, both your location, your identity, the amount, everything is scrambled and hidden. And these coins are gaining a great deal of popularity. The top two would be Monero, that's certainly the oldest. Apollo, that's an extremely good privacy coin. There's SafeX, but you can Google these.
Carl, I'll show you those coins, Carl. All right, I'll show you those coins.
Yeah. So those would be my favorite. My favorite are Apollo and Monero, simply because they're the most secure in my mind.
Okay.
But until we get distributed exchanges, even that doesn't matter. Because at some point, until fiat currency disappears completely, we have to convert these coins back into fiat to buy certain items. Because with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, you can't yet buy everything. You can buy houses, cars, clothes, but not everything. You can't go into a coffee shop, maybe, or a restaurant, a hooker on the street, these sort of things. So you have to get back to the fiat currency. To do that, you need an exchange. And an exchange...
Let me ask you about that, John.
Yes.
Excuse me for interrupting you, man, but I did want to ask you about liquidity and the money. Where is the money now in virtual currency? And so, as far as we can tell right now, the money in virtual currency is primarily in the exchanges like Uphold, Binance, Coinbase. They look like where the weight of the money is right now, the liquidity is in that. And then financial institutions, they don't seem like they're coming in yet because of regulations. What do you think about that?
Well, people talk about liquidity, which really, if we had done things right, would be a nonsensical term. if everybody accepted Bitcoin and Monero, for example, then you would need no liquidity because your liquidity is in the currency itself. What does liquidity mean? Well, it means I can take a specific investment and get cash back at some point, which I can spend. But if the investment is the equivalent of cash, you don't need cash back. You just take that investment and start spending the investment. Here's the difference that people do not understand. And at some point, the exchanges are going to simply disappear. Why? Because we're not going to need dollars or euros or yens or any currency except the cryptocurrency itself. So for now, though, I try to use cryptocurrency for every expense that I can, even if I have to pay a little more in order to support this movement. At some point, there will be no fiat, no exchange. Right now, however, this is our weak point. But what is an exchange? You've got your Bitcoin, you want to buy a house, but the owner will not accept Bitcoins. So I want dollars. And you go, are you sure? You try to convince them, no. Then you're going to take those Bitcoins and exchange them for dollars to buy the house. You go to an exchange. Currently, all of the really workable exchanges are centralized. They have servers in a given location. Right. In Hong Kong or in Shanghai or in Beijing or London or New York. So if governments get spooky and want to find out what's happening, they strong-arm the exchanges and make the exchanges do more to collect information on who each wallet belongs to, all sorts of stuff. So that's a problem. To exchange money, we have to reveal our identity for almost all exchanges. Yeah. So this is a serious problem. When distributed exchanges come, there is no central location and nothing to control. I mean, there's no one running the exchange. The exchange is automated and running on millions of wallets around the world. So if you shut down one part of the exchange or even 20% of it, it makes no difference. It's still up and running. That way, we have no central control. There's no one the government can go to and say, listen, I want you to keep records. Who do you go to? It's decentralized. There's nobody in control. So this is where we have to be. Until that happens, anonymity and privacy is a pipe dream in the cryptocurrency world. I'm sorry that people think that you're anonymous once you bought Bitcoin. No, you're less anonymous. You're less anonymous than having a bank account.
Right. Let me ask you this then. So is that simply because, the immaturity of the market? Or are you saying, that as the market matures, as this transformation takes place, we'll get there? Is that...
And we need a new definition for market for crypto, because currently when they talk about the crypto market, they talk about the value of Bitcoin in terms of dollars and how you can exchange it. But that's utter nonsense. The real crypto market is the world of goods and services. Okay. That's the market we should be focusing on, and that market is self-regulating. I mean, if someone's charging $1,000 for a pair of shoes, most people will say, I'm sorry, I'm going to get a $100 pair of shoes. Right. But they limit everything. If I have an option for buying a car for $5,000 or a pair of shoes for $5,000, more than likely, I will choose to go barefoot and buy the car. That way I can drive everywhere instead of walk. I mean, that's an absurd example. But it points out the forces at play. We buy what we want for the price we want to pay. Things are worth what people are willing to pay for them, not what an exchange gives us as the value and the price. So ultimately, the exchanges will have a very tiny function. Right now, it's a huge function, right, because we need liquidity into other currencies. When we have a fully functioning cryptocurrency market where everybody takes cryptocurrency, why bother exchanging to dollars? That's ridiculous.
So let me ask you this then, John. With that being said, then somebody is going to want to control, right? And
yes.
So that brings me to my question of regulations. you've got the CTFC, the CTFC saying that virtual currency is a commodity. You got the SEC, they're saying virtual currency is a security. Then you got the IRS, they want to know if you can pay taxes on it. And then you got FinCEN trying to figure out if it's a currency or not. So my question is, doesn't the government basically want to control virtual currency?
Of course. But like all regulations, if they are unenforceable, it does not matter. Okay. I think all the states in America say you cannot smoke weed. I know a person who smokes weed. Yeah. You probably do too. Yeah. People smoke weed because they want to and can. It does not matter. You cannot enforce something that the entire population is doing. That's right. If half the population is smoking weed, you can't enforce any law against it. It's absurd. It's absurd. So it's the same thing with cryptocurrency. When we reach the point that we have distributed exchanges and privacy coins, they're not going to know who you are. So to regulate something saying you may not use that, and you go, well, you know who I am, you know what I'm doing. Do you think people are just going to be, I have to pay my taxes, so I'm going to be honest and tell the government everything that I do, even though I do not have to? Absolutely. Please, we are not that human being. We're a mixed bag. We have grace and love and kindness, but we're also kind of greedy and sneaky. So I'm sorry, it will not happen.
Right. So, I think maybe we can you can help us understand this then. So at some point, they're not going to be able to control what they think they're able to control, and the global movement of cryptocurrency will continue. Would that make sense?
Yeah, you cannot stop it if you cannot control it, or if you cannot enforce your laws and your regulations. This is what governments do not understand. Make all the laws you want. They are unenforceable when distributed exchanges and privacy coins gain widespread use. I'm sorry, end of story. If I don't have to tell the government, why should I? And they can't find me with a privacy coin. They can't tell anything that's left my wallet, how much, when, what came in, how, what's there. No, they know nothing about it. So how on God's name will you enforce it? It's not like having an alcohol still in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains where you can fly a helicopter over.
Right, prohibition type.
No, it's invisible.
Yeah. But then that brings me to this then. With privacy coins, that was actually the whole movement of virtual currency. It was supposed to be this antithetical movement from banking, right? And it was also supposed to be something that banks could not get their hands on, like the Silk Road, right? Are you familiar with the Silk Road thing, right?
Of course, yes. There was a centralized server that had a manager, an owner, because it could be arrested and shut down. That's not the same thing with cryptocurrency. It is a mathematical process that once you get it going and you step away from it, there is no centralization. There's no person in control. There's no Bitcoin Inc. Try to serve Bitcoin a summons. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as an entity that controls Bitcoin, manages it, or owns it. It is a collection of millions of people interacting. That's all Bitcoin is. So how do you shut that interaction down? You cannot. Now, you can shut down the server. And with Bitcoin, again, if they wanted to, they could find you. But let's get real. If they wanted to arrest all of the weed smokers, they could. They're not going to. It's too costly. It would be utter nonsense. When over half of the population is doing it, you cannot pass a law against it. It cannot happen, sir.
I tell you what's interesting, also along with that, is the Venezuela. I was going to ask you about that, too, the Venezuela situation. Right now, you see how the government, the countries that are supporting, there's this war going on, right, in Venezuela. But what's interesting, and I think one of the greatest stories this year, is about how people in Venezuela that are able to use Bitcoin are still able to buy and sell and get around the SWIFT banking system by using Bitcoin. I think that's
absolutely. But let me make a statement about that. About what we think we know about Venezuela is an illusion, my friend.
okay.
What we are told by our government comes from the CIA, the NSA, other covert agencies, rogue elements of the State Department, whoever. That's packaged as propaganda for us citizens. So that we will support our government in whatever stance the government takes. Well, that's asked backwards. The government should be supporting the people in whatever stance we want to take. But we can't have a stance because we are not informed properly. We don't know the truth. The nice thing about Bitcoin is, yes, with that we can fucking verify it. We can say that, oh, absolutely, these are people in Venezuela that are transacting business.
Right.
And people IP addresses. So yes, isn't that the beautiful thing? That's the only thing about Venezuela, that people are transacting business. The rest of it is nonsense that is panned out by the media, packaged in a form that, quote, entertains us. Well, let me tell you, the truth is not very entertaining usually, so we're not going to get much of it.
Well, that's true. That's definitely true. And I think your point is well taken regarding, and it was just, for me, it was good to know, or great to hear, that the people in Venezuela are still, regardless of this political turmoil, they're still able to function by using Bitcoin, I think they're using Dash, and there's some reports that they're using Litecoin, because a lot of the Litecoin had gone up in price as soon as this problem start popping up.
Yes. Absolutely. So this is the first indication we have where some semblance of truth is creeping into our meeting. Because the blockchain, you can't lie about the blockchain. That's the beauty. It is there to prevent deception,
Right.
to prevent alteration, to prevent a future hand going into the past and modifying it for their own purposes. Cannot be done. So that's the only truth we're getting these days, is the truth provided by the blockchain.
Yeah.
The rest of it is provided by the media. And I beg any of you to explain to me how you've managed to trust what the television tells you.
Right. That's a losing. You know, that's a big loss right there.
Banks ain't gonna be able to survive if we're talking about going virtual currency.
Well, banks can't last much longer. 3 or 4 years, I think, banks will start closing down. Here's the main reason. If you have a cryptocurrency wallet, that is your bank.
Right.
Let's say you have a friend or a business associate, or you bought something in Australia, and you've got to wire them $100.
Right.
With a bank, what do I have to do? I got to get out of bed, get dressed, find my car, get the keys, drive to the bank, fill out a bunch of forms, sign them, get back in my car, drive back home, drop the keys, get undressed, and go back to bed. Now, with cryptocurrency, what do? I don't even get out of bed. I grab my smartphone, I say, what's your address? They send it to me, I click it. How much? $100. I hit send, 30 seconds, and my phone's back on the counter, and I'm watching the morning news again.
Yeah.
So tell me, how can banks compete with that? It's impossible.
They can't, John, but you know what, John?
It's not a possibility. Secondly, banks have already struck out against cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Many of the banks will no longer allow you to send money from your account to a cryptocurrency exchange, or to accept currency from a cryptocurrency exchange into the bank.
That's right.
And so that hasn't worked. All it's done is piss us all off big time, making us hope that the banks sink sooner rather than later. So banks will be the first to go. They're going to be the first to get angry, and they're going to strike out the most against us. and you can expect them to start lobbying Congress and carrying signs in the streets saying cryptocurrency is evil, it's a tool of the devil, or whatever they want to say.
That's right.
So expect that to happen very soon, my friend.
Well, you know, John, to go along with that, when we're talking about bank, we're talking about the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund. When we talk about bank, we're talking about the World Bank. When we're talking about bank, we're talking about central banks that just print up the money. And then when we're talking about banking, we're talking about commercial banks. And so we have a full banking structure. And so with that being said, what do you think about the CBDCs, which are central bank digital currencies? Or I think another word for central bank digital currencies could be stable coins to try to control. I think that, well, what do you think? What do you think, John?
You know, that's like when the railroads came along, and they made the horses obsolete. That's like people who stabled horses and cared for horses and auctioned horses going, we have a mechanical horse for you now. Run exactly like the railroad horse. It's on wheels and run by a steam engine. The difference is we get to choose not to use it. This is where they're losing. This is where they're missing the fucking point. We are not going to abandon a movement toward absolute privacy and anonymity just because the Bank of America or even the U.S. government issues the United States coin. Who gives a shit? I'm not using it because whatever is in that coin is not going to help me get free from the government.
Right.
So this is where people are missing it. We just don't have to use it. Build as many as you want. If we are smart, we'll go, well, that looks really nice. Have fun with it.
Right.
But I'm not taking a wallet.
Right. I totally agree, but it's so much fiat spread it all over the world. I mean, we're inundated and over inundated with fiat currencies in different countries, different currencies. And that's, I mean, I guess I probably could say that. How do you think that that's going to, that transition? What did that look like in the time frame? What do you think?
Well, first of all, you're thinking there will be a transition of banks into the cryptocurrency world. I don't believe that. I think the concept of banks themselves is nonsensical in a world where we are our own bank, each and every private individual. I mean, like, my God, there's cow shit all over the world. That doesn't mean that we have to worry about what to do with it if we don't want to use it.
That's right. That's right. I guess the point is that it's going to be losing it's a losing move, I guess. Check it out, John. You got your own currency, your own coin coming out, man, and congratulations on that. I saw that the other day on your Twitter. You're gonna be breaking out with your own coin. So kind of tell us a little bit about that, man. So where can I buy some?
Well, you may not want any because I'm not doing this for people to make money.
Okay.
I'm doing this as a way for people to more quickly get away from fiat currencies. Okay, the coin's going to have zero exchange value, and I will never allow it on an exchange by contract.
I read that.
So that once you've got it, don't ever expect to get $1 for it because it will never happen again.
Okay.
And so we'll have a movement to have people use it and a movement to have people accept it as vendors. And why would that be good for them? Because vendors themselves would now have a locked-in customer base that other vendors can't sell to, because we're using McAfee coin and you guys are using dollars, and look at these people are never going to get on your dollar wagon, and that customer base is guaranteed to grow. So it's a social experiment more than anything else. I'm not going to make a dime on it. It's not something for profit. It's something as a social experiment that could become the next currency. That's all.
Wow.
And I can't tell you how we do it yet because someone else will pick it up and beat me to it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I was reading that, and I was reading that you wouldn't be able to like sell it for another virtual currency and that type of thing.
No, you cannot. No, you can't exchange it for any currency. You can only exchange this for goods and services. Everything that I do is the same thing to try to accelerate the movement. I think the biggest thing that will accelerate that movement is the crypto credit card that I'm coming out with in 4 weeks now.
Oh.
And it's up and running. Next week, I will be distributing 20 of them, preloaded with $100 worth of Bitcoins, but you can add as much from your wallet to chosen news agencies, and then half of them will have a lottery just for the general public, just to get interest. And these will be the first people to use the live cards. Why the press? Because once they use it, they will say, good God, this is easy. Now, what do we use? How much do we use cash these days? Isn't credit cards most of it?
Yes.
What if you didn't have to exchange your Bitcoin into dollars? You instead just put it on this card and use that card to buy whatever you want.
That would be much.
Tell me this is not going to be the biggest dent in the existing fiat system.
Yeah.
Maybe, unless they assassinate me first.
Yeah, that's going to rattle some cages right there. That's definitely going to that's definitely going to rattle some cages. What do you think about that?
But it's 6:39. By the way, I think we run a little over. I usually go for half an hour.
Okay.
Let's maybe take 2 more questions. Can you define internet of value for me, sir? I don't.
For me to get $1,000 to you, John, right now, it'd probably be fast for me to jump on a plane and fly it over to you and drop it off to you, rather than
Yes.
rather than trying to use Swift to get.
Yes.
Swift is slow. It has high fees, and it'll cost, I don't know how much money to get you just $1,000. But with this internet of value, it will get you $1,000 a lot quicker with this peer-to-peer, with a peer-to-peer purchase, be able to get that to you. So what do you think?
That's what I already talked about. If rather than go to the bank, you just take your card and you put in an address. I wouldn't call that the internet of value. I think value comes not from the internet, not from exchanges, not from the digital world, but from the intersection of that digital world with the world of goods and services. Value doesn't come from the internet. It comes from how much can a man sell you that pair of shoes for? If you're in a hall and everybody's selling shoes, there's competition, you might get it fairly cheap. That's where value comes from, not from the internet, but from the world of commerce, the world of goods and services. Because digital science is not going to rub you back, heat your house, drive you to work, or suck your dick. Right. It's not going to do any of those things. Right. But the world of goods and services, yes. So that's value, and the value is based on some standard. Currently, it's based on the dollar or the euro or some such thing. When it reaches the point that it's based on an intangible concept, which is what digital currency is, the concept is not the value. The value is the exchange of that concept with the world of true value. So I have to radically disagree with that gentleman.
Yeah. Well, and to go a little further, what do you think about the virtual currency? Ripple is the 3rd largest virtual currency on CoinMarketCap right now. Ripple.
Yes.
And the digital currency is XRP. Okay. So, and they have also created 3 suites of software things that they use. One is Xcurrent, and another one that Ripple has is XVIA, and then they have XRapid, which is their virtual currency that they use, and then I think they have something called Xspring. What do you think about the virtual currency XRP? And it's supposed to be the virtual currency that works with banking. What do you think, John?
Listen, you put me on the spot here, my friend.
Oh, okay.
It's not one of my favorite currencies. I'm sorry.
It's not?
No, absolutely not. First of all, I favor hard privacy coins. When I say hard, I mean...
Somebody told me, by the way, John, that you would say that too. So, I mean, I kind of,
Well, I would.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, privacy coins will be the coins of the future. They have to be, unless I'm wrong and the entire world does not care if every random stranger can look into your bank account or the equivalent, meaning your wallet, and see how much money you have and where it's going and where it's coming from. Good God Almighty, I'm not happy with that.
Right.
Now, maybe the Ripple people are, and that's fine with me. You know, listen, there are now 6,000 coins out there.
Yeah.
The newer ones have made things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, the ERC20s, and Ripple pretty much in the dark. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah.
The world has changed.
Yeah.
When Bitcoin first started, people did not anticipate the problems that it would face.
Right.
Banks,
right.
Financial institutions,
Right.
Governments, regulations, laws, restrictions, national conflicts.
Mhm.
What we need are things which are independent of those. I mean, it's great that Ripple works with banking, but Jesus God, people are not trying to kill banking. That's what everybody's looking for in the crypto world. And if you're linked to banking, and if you like suicide, then please God, that's your business.
Right.
Okay, one of the reasons I do not favor it that well, I'm not dissing it, please God. I'm just saying that it's an inconsistent strategy. That we want independence from banks and we want to obviate the banking systems, but we are a prime thing. We work with banks. Good God, stop smoking weed.
Right. John, listen, man, I appreciate you taking the time, man, to talk to us and to share with us your thoughts on this thing, man. You know, I know, like you said, I don't want to go too much further. We're already over time, man. I really appreciate you hanging out with us, talking to us, and I hope you come back again where we can keep this conversation going. We can be a conduit if you want. That you can.
And listen, I'll be happy to come on anytime. I like your personality, and you're a very charismatic interviewer. I sometimes not walk off. I just disappear when people are so flat with no charisma. But you have plenty of that. This is a rapidly accelerating world.
Yeah.
And especially teenagers.
Yeah.
We have to do the right thing by them and educate them, else they're going to be lost and alone in a world owned by somebody else. All right?
Yeah.
And I don't want that for my kids.
Right.
I don't want to be wrong.
I feel you, man.
And it's hard sometimes to say, well, I don't want to do this. That's hard, and no one's using Bitcoin. So who gives a flying fuck? You're going to learn it.
Right.
You're going to use the right tools. I don't care what your friends are using. They're going to be out on the street begging for money, and you're not if you follow my instructions. So I don't care if they kick and cry and scream. We have to do the right thing by them. We have to.
Absolutely. This is what we're going to do.
If children are lost, then humanity is lost.
Exactly.
So I want to admonish every parent out there. I don't care what your child wants for Christmas. You decide what technology you're going to get, because they want this technology, that technology. I'd rather have something that plays games well and does the rest of the stuff. That's something I use for business. Well, screw that shit. You're going to use what I tell you, which is business is going to make you the money. End of story. And if you don't teach children about cryptocurrency, the technology of the banking system they're working under now, what tools you have to use, then we're terrible fucking parents. We're just people going, oh, I want to give my child what they want.
Absolutely.
Children should never get what they want. They should get what they need. Exactly. When they get to be an adult, they can have what the fuck they want.
Exactly. You nailed it, man. Because, I talked to Carl and I was talking, and the people that we know, they don't have no money anyway. And so by the time they end up buying something, it's going to be a sham. And it's going to be a scam. They're going to get, John, they're going to get burned, man. They're going to get burned, okay?
Absolutely.
They are.
Well, anyway, my friend, I have to run.
Okay, John, thank you so much, man.
It's been a lot of fun, and I'll come back anytime. Just give me a call. Next time I want my wife on because she makes it a much better show.
Okay, I really appreciate it, John. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.